talk about spreadsheets and how spreadsheets can transform your writing life. I hope, at least that's my hope. I want to create 3 spreadsheets today. The way this video is going to work, I'm going to go over the 3 spreadsheets that I want to talk about that I think are really going to help me as a writer. Then I am going to take some time to make those spreadsheets. If you're catching this on the replay, I want to throw out there for you this idea to actually try to make the spreadsheets before looking at the ones that I'm going to make. What I'm going to do at the end of this video is share what I've created. I've got some rough templates, but I want to refine them a little bit. But what I'm finding is that it's important for me to come up with these systems for myself rather than borrow from extant systems. I'm looking at other people's spreadsheets and saying, oh, that's cool, I'm going to grab that. But intuitively, I think that if I organize it from my own brain, I think that ultimately I'll end up with a system that works better for me. So if you're catching the live stream, I encourage you to try that, to just see what you come up with before looking at what I've done, or not, or just check it out. In any event, if you hit the live, if you're catching this later, I'll put in the timestamps in the video description of the spreadsheets that I create. So the 3 spreadsheets that I think every writer needs, or at least that I think I need, and I'm going to put them up here on screen, are something to keep track of the works in progress that I have, something to keep me abreast of how far along each story is. If it's your first time here, I'm a short story writer, and so I have several short stories going at once in various phases of completion. I want to share with you this idea that Douglas Smith, who is a sort of really accomplished Canadian journeyman short story writer, and in addition to writing lots of short stories, he's written a couple great guides for short story writing, specifically around kind of the business of it. And one thing that he does is he has a little system of keeping track of the progress of his various works in progress. And what he does, he has kind of a 3-strike system where he says these 3 strikes before sending it out to market. And the first is a first draft, which is not a rough draft. It's like a first complete draft. The second one is he reads it as a reader, makes notes, implements those changes. And the third pass is he reads his work in progress as an editor, reading it through the editor's eye, seeing what they might change, giving himself at least a week in between each phase. That's his work in progress process. So I think I'm going to set that up, for example. And that's what I said at the beginning of this video is like, I think that, and I would like to encourage you to see what you come up with for an intuitive way. And of course, it's going to be different for novels, whether you're a plotter or a pantser, like I have my outline ready, all that good stuff. The second essential spreadsheet, at least for me, is something to keep track of my submissions. What I definitely don't want to do is send the same story to the same place twice. I don't want to have something out at multiple publications that they don't allow that. And so the other thing I want to do today is create a spreadsheet for that. And thirdly, this is something that I've just kind of been inspired by other folks here on YouTube or AuthorTube and the internet, just some kind of media spreadsheet, keeping track of what I've read. I'm not obsessive in that kind of way. I kind of have a little bit more of a fluid relationship with my media. But one thing that I do have is a tendency to think that I'm never doing enough, that I'm not reading enough. And I do think that I read more than I give myself credit for. And I also think it's going to be really cool to be sharing with some of y'all, whether you're in the Discord or a friend of the channel, however we connect, what I'm reading and be in communication and exchange. I've gotten such great recommendations from folks here on YouTube. In any event, what we are going to do now is move into a writing session. I'm going to do, or not a writing session, this spreadsheet creating session. I'm going to be working in Google Sheets. Other people use Notion. Other people use Excel. These are all options. And yeah, I'm going to try to make these 3 spreadsheets: a work in progress spreadsheet, a submission spreadsheet, a reading spreadsheet. I've tried to make these in the past, but they're not quite complete. So I'm going to spend maybe 30, 40 minutes improving these, and then we can loop back and share what we have accomplished. If you're on the Discord and you want to send me a screenshot or something you feel comfortable sharing, feel free to do that. I just wanted to turn on the camera today and go live to really make myself knock out these spreadsheets, because I think that if I have a little bit more organization in my writing practice, it's going to go a long way, per the guardrails I was talking about this morning in the Making Goals live stream. Anyway, I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to get down to it. I encourage you to do the same, and let me know in the chat how's it going. And I'll this isn't hard focus timer by any means, because it's nice and it's spreadsheet work, so we can talk in the chat and be in conversation around what's working for each of us. Okay? Whew, there you have it. Okay, y'all, this is going really well. If you're jamming, keep jamming. Don't mind me. But I did want to share this. Cutting my face off here, but that's going to have to happen. Maybe I can move my face. Here I am. Okay, so check this out. This is this is a start. So, okay. So this of the three, I said that I wanted to make a progress spreadsheet where I want to document where I'm at with each of my works in progress. And as I said before, this is going to look so different for everybody, which is kind of why I just wanted to like start from scratch and not try to find one. But what I've done here is, if you can see it, so first of all, I think I'm going to create all three of these spreadsheets in one master Google Sheets. And I came up with this name here on the spot. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I don't know if my mouse is showing up on right up here. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think that's going to be a useful reminder for myself as I continue this journey into professional writing, that it's going to take so long, that each story might take so long to get to the place where it's ready to submit, might take so long to publish. I'm excited about that title. What we see here, if you can see it, is that, and I just want to make sure this is big enough. I'm going to move myself all the way over here, make this nice and big. Okay. I created two categories: active stories and back burner stories. And something that I've been trying to work on is really finishing things and not abandoning stories, but also trusting that if I have a lot of energy on a new story, that I should just take it and run with it as much as I can. So that's why I have these categories. And what I did here was I created some nice little color coding using this highlight feature right here, this fill feature, which gives it a little bit of visual clarity, which I think is going to be useful down the road, especially as this document continues to get bigger and bigger. And as for the progress itself, as I was talking about earlier, I'm kind of thinking of my short stories in three versions. And I think each of these versions will have subversions within it. It's not, so often something takes longer than 3 drafts, of course, but basically a kind of 1, 2, 3, then send out type of thinking here. And so what you see here is this story Under the Pear Tree, which I've been working on. It's this short, dark, literary short story. It's right around 2,100 words. Oh, that's something I should do, is put in the word count. But not here, actually. I'm thinking maybe that goes in the submission tab. We'll get there. This story, Under the Pear Tree, as you can see, I have it in V3. It's almost done. I want to sit with it just a little bit longer, give myself one more week maybe to kind of just engage with it with fresh eyes. But I put this little X here to show me that that's where that is. This other story that I just started is I've just written a rough draft, which is to say I got to the end of the story. I did like a beginning, middle, and end, but it's not even like a draft per se, in that I haven't even gone through it. I haven't even looked at like basic problems. I haven't even done a spell check for that matter. So this kind of came up on the spot here. Is like, this guy, Douglas Smith, recommends his version 1, version 2, version 3. But for me, it's like I actually kind of have this rough draft. It's almost like a draft 0. People use that term. And that's going to be helpful for me in my process. Another thing that's cool is if I go down here to these back burner stories, I can see that they're kind of far already. I don't know. Maybe I'll call my blog about this Santa story that I've been working on. Not everyone is cut out for the snake show. I've been talking about that story for weeks also. So, I wrote myself little notes here. And that's another part of this spreadsheet, is kind of something. And these, I'm just, as for today at least, gave myself little messages about how I feel about these stories. I really like Under the Pear Tree. I have preoccupations. I have kind of anxiety about this story, Runaway Story, that it has too many flashbacks, that the story kind of lives in the past in a way that is not narrative forward. And, but I wrote myself this little note to be like, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Just keep going. And similarly down here, I wrote myself these little notes to encourage me to make it through these stories. So I think this is going to be the easiest of the three, maybe. The other two spreadsheets that I want to make here, and let me just kind of regroup here on the live stream. The other ones that I want to make are for submissions and what I'm reading. The what I'm reading, actually, that one should be pretty manageable. Next, I'm going to try to build the submissions tab. So I hope that was useful. If you're in the comments, let me know if you're doing this exercise, and we'll regroup here as soon as I finish the next one, and I'll share it with you. Okay, everybody, we're back. We're back. If you're, like per usual, if you're making progress, keep doing that. I'm going to share where I'm at. I'm making good time here. This is great. I did not expect all this to happen quite so efficiently here this morning. I'm also making discoveries, adding additional tabs I wasn't expecting to make. So I just want to continue sharing progress. Okay, let's get this so we can all see it, so we can all see me. And Is this working? Can you see what I want you to see? Not yet. All right, stand by. Stand by, everybody. Getting the hang of this. Essentially, the first thing that I did here was that I came up with a sheet of places that I'm trying to target, places that I want to keep on my radar, which also means I kind of need to keep reading these places. So that's what this tab is here. These are kind of publications. They're all publications. And at the top are highly competitive, highly literary, these are folks who have well-established careers. A lot of these places are inviting writers submitting, but I want to have them in front of me. I want to have them on my spreadsheet because one day I want to be submitting to these places. I want to be receiving emails from Plowshares. Hey, Asa, do you have any new stories? We're looking to fill out the November issue. I just want to keep them in front of me, and I'm not going to be submitting to those places yet. One, because I don't know if it's particularly realistic, but more importantly, I think, and relevantly right here, is if you see this column, it indicates, when it says simultaneous here, what that means is that this particular outlet, these outlets, Granta, One Story, Plowshares, do not allow simultaneous submissions, which means if I've submitted a story to the New Yorker, I cannot have sent it anywhere else. To do so would be a violation of their terms, and you could get blacklisted if you that's just the etiquette. And they make quite clear in their submission guidelines that they do not allow simultaneous submissions. So for me, where I'm at trying to get published more quickly than that, I am not going to wait for a likely rejection from the New Yorker 4 months from now, because if I submit to the New Yorker, it means that I cannot be submitting other places. So what I've done here below is tiered them. So we have kind of elite publications. These are very high paying, very competitive, very sort of significant in terms of what it means to publish there. And then I've gone down the list, and there's endless, really, kind of literary magazines and publications and magazines where one can submit one's work, all with kind of various degrees of reputation. Where I'm getting these is a couple of master lists that are out there. I don't have the names of them. I'll try to find them and put them in the video description here. But essentially, there are sort of studies, cross-publication studies that have all these metrics and analytics to assess sort of the prestige of a given publication. Additionally, these lists identify the type of stories that these publications publish to give you a sense of where you should be applying to. So this is work that I did last week where I found these publications, which I gave myself some sort of stretch goals or reach goals in these tier A options. And then these are tier B and tier C options. And while there's hundreds of similar literary magazines to the ones I've listed here, these ones, I would think, I haven't read them all. Ideally, you want to be reading these places that you're submitting to so you have a sense of their aesthetic. But from the research I've done, it's like, okay, these places might be interested in the kind of stories that I'm writing right now. I'm talking specifically about Under the Pear Tree. I think that story has a chance at getting published by a place like these, one of these literary magazines. And so that's how I cultivated this list. Where I was going with all this is that I wasn't even intending on incorporating that list here. The list that I sought out to make right now, I'm going to put up on the screen. Well, yeah, I see your comment there. Actually, okay, that's a good point. Mateo Leon Rodriguez in the comments says that is a big list. Well, the thing about this list is that you'll see here all these places allow simultaneous submissions. And given how competitive it is to get published, I want a big list. And also just look at these lengths of times. This column, by the way, let me walk through some of these other columns quickly. Average response time, that's how long it takes to get a yay or nay. Word limit, these are all publications that accept short stories. So this word limit category indicates to me what kind of stories, which of my stories I should be submitting to which ones. Under the pear tree is only 2,100 words. So I'm going to maybe specifically have my eye on ones that favor short fiction. Yeah, so those are important. And so to your point, Matteo, around so many, I mean, it's since these allow simultaneous submissions, since these publications are comfortable, if I have my manuscript out to various spots, may as well, as long as they don't have a fee. I'm not really interested in going broke on application fees. There's other considerations, of course. And one thing I should say in reading about these publications is that they all essentially say the moment your story gets accepted rather somewhere else, let them know. And so they take it out of the mix. I hope that was clear. All right, next. Thanks for bearing with me, y'all. All right, this is the one that I wanted to create here, and I'm really happy about this. This is just proving so useful because I need to keep track of these, and it's like I've only submitted 3 stories so far in this kind of new phase of my career as a short story writer, and I'm already kind of losing track. So on sub, that stands for on submission. I've got 2 categories. First of all, to clarify, these are finished stories. Whereas that other tab was stories in progress, works in progress. These are finished stories. I've got 2 categories, on sub, on submission. These are 2 stories that I wrote, The Visit and Sam. I put the word count. Mainly the word count is there so I remember what, per that other tab, you'll see that publications have stipulations around what word count they're interested in. So I'm putting the word count. Each of these is under 1,000 words. Same with Dear Editor. This is the other story that I've sent out in the last few months. It's right at 1,000 words. I remember that because I had to keep cutting it down to get it down to 1,000 words. So these ones are on submission, these 2. With indicates what publication they're on submission with. So I'm learning that there's kind of various schools of publishing, right? And it seems like, and I'm still learning about this, that the literary magazine world, the literary publication, is a little more sort of receptive to simultaneous submissions. This is the sense I get. Whereas magazines, kind of more traditional speculative fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, horror, magazines it's a little bit less, even if they allow it, it's kind of maybe not as done to have simultaneous submissions. And fortunately, unlike the literary magazines, a lot of those speculative fiction outlets that are popular let you know much faster. So for example, The Dark is the name of a popular horror publication. They're famous. They'll sometimes get back to you in an hour. They'll read 6 lines and be like, this is not for us. And following this guy's lead, again, Douglas Smith, I mean, he is largely a speculative fiction writer, and he says it's a big no-no. He's like, don't even mess with simultaneous submissions. Do one place at a time. So I'm kind of just learning this, figuring out as I go. These 3 stories are all kind of genre-ish stories, and they kind of live in that universe. So for the time being, I'm keeping them at 1 publication at a time. I think that's also good for me since I'm only still starting to create these systems. So where you can see here is The Visit is at a place called Fantasy Magazine. Sam is another flash fiction piece. It's at an outlet called Bog Matter. And these are places that, have already rejected these stories. So I want to keep track of those because I definitely don't want to send it back to them a second time. And this is a story on shelf. And again, this is so valuable that I'm doing this because it's like this story is just sitting around. It is a finished story that is not on submission. So this is telling me that this week I should probably find a place to submit this to. Quickly, I want to share a resource that I use a lot in conjunction with all this, and that is Submission Grinder. So Submission Grinder is a website, and it is a tracking system. So it's kind of has this same value of these spreadsheets in that it tracks, but more significantly, Submission Grinder helps you find places to send your fiction to. So it is a great resource. I highly recommend checking this out. And what I'm doing right now is working in conjunction. I've got the Grinder account that's managing my submissions. It's helping me find places to submit to. A huge part of this, it seems, is to find various resources of places to submit to, and I'll try to link some other ones that I've found in the description for this video as well. But anyway, this is a particular resource that's particularly useful for speculative fiction, and it just gives you all these places you can apply to. You can search by word count, you can search by genre, and it's just super useful. It's just useful. And so what I did just now was I went and found my stories on Submission Grinder. I went over here to manage pieces, and it's thinking, these are my 3 pieces. I hope all this shows up. Oh no, it's stuck on this front page. Okay, I'm still learning how to use OBS. In any event, Submission Grinder tracks your pieces, helps you find places to submit to, and what I'm going to do on this spreadsheet is add the link to Submission Grinder so that I have access within my spreadsheet system to that other story management system that I have. Whew, pretty cool, right? Anyway, that's where things are at here. So I'm curious what else folks are saying. Mateo Leon Rodriguez, 6 months feels like a long time. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But I mean, the nice thing about short stories is that, you can send something to the New Yorker or the Paris Review without an agent. Pretty cool. All right. We've got one more to go. If you're just joining the stream, we're making essential spreadsheets for writers. And really, this is just an opportunity for me to get organized and share how I'm doing it with you. And I think that this will help you too. The first 2 that we've done, we did a progress spreadsheet tracking how far along we are in various works in progress. We just did a submission spreadsheet, keeping track where our stories are out in the market. Last but not least, this is kind of adjacent to pursuing a professional writing life, is a reading spreadsheet. And I'm really excited to do this too. As I begin the Ray Bradbury Challenge here in November, in vez de NaNoWriMo, something that I want to try. He said that if for 1,000 nights you read a poem a day, read a short story a day, read an essay a day, you will find yourself with all the inspiration you need. And I said, hey, you know what? If I'm going to do this, especially at least for November, try it out for November, why don't I keep track and share all the things I'm reading? So that's the 3rd spreadsheet that I'm about to make. I hope some of y'all are making spreadsheets. Mateo, is this helpful? And so I'm going to dip back into the work, and I'll check back in with you shortly. We're back, everybody. Hi. Oh, gosh. Really does feel good to accomplish things that you've been putting off, and then you just sit down to do them, and it's like, oh, that wasn't so bad at all. Okay, check this out. We have the reading spreadsheet, which is cool. I think this is going to work. I think this is going to help me feel organized, and I think it's going to help me feel like I have progress, that progress is happening. So this is what I've got for you, and what it looks like here is I've divided it up into poems, short stories, and essays, and essentially doing that because I am right now working on this Bradbury challenge where I'm trying to read a poem a day, a short story a day, and an essay a day. And I would like to scroll through this document with y'all, but I'm struggling to make that happen. So you're going to have to listen and imagine. But essentially what you see there with the poems and the short stories, I've replicated for essays. And one little other piece, there's one other column in there that you can't see, which is just that it says the month. And so rather than identifying what day I read each thing, I think just knowing what month is going to be a clear enough guide for me. I don't know if I'm going to put in notes every single time. I think as much as anything, maybe I'll put notes if it's something I really want to remember or come back to. I will say this, is that I think by writing down something like I did here for when the people lights go off under the short story section, I wrote in the notes, sleepwalking as an event we don't understand, therefore the scary great setup. I wonder if writing that down is going to help me remember it, because it really was this cool device where it's like, we're scared of what we don't understand, and sleepwalking is like one of these things that, I don't know. I mean, maybe scientists have figured out, but like for me at least, it's still kind of mysterious. It's still kind of scary. I don't know if any of you have ever been in a home with someone who sleepwalks. I actually haven't, but it sounds so scary. You're not supposed to wake them up. And so I wrote that down as just a really cool device that story uses. So I think I've achieved what I've wanted here today. I created a progress spreadsheet. I created a submission spreadsheet. A fourth spreadsheet came in the mix, which was a publication spreadsheet. And then I created that reading spreadsheet. So these are some potentially useful spreadsheets. I think I'm going to use these, and I think I'm going to continue to refine them. If this is the first time you've seen me on the internet, my name's Asa Merritt. There's a Discord called the Public Writers Workshop that I help run, where these kinds of conversations are continuing. You're more than welcome to join. I'll put the information in the video description. Everyone, have a great Monday. I'm just so pleased with these streams this morning. I feel like I'm getting there, and it feels great. It feels so great. One thing at a time, right? All right, everybody. Talk to you later.